From broken to beloved, the transformative power of unconditional love. Welcome to the soft girl era where we're learning to be soft in a world that taught us survival. I'm honored to share with you today the remarkable insights from my interview with Carey, known affectionately as CareBear, a soul who embodies resilience, transformation, and the radical power of love. Carrie's journey from unimaginable beginnings to becoming a beacon of hope isn't just inspiring, it's revolutionary. In a world obsessed with success stories that begin in garages and end in boardrooms, Carrie reminds us that the most profound transformations often begin in the darkest places. When I first heard Carrie's story, I was struck speechless. Here was someone who began life under circumstances most of us can barely comprehend. Born addicted to heroin, raised in foster care, facing abandonment and rejection at every turn. Yet today, Carrie stands as a testament to what's possible when we open ourselves to healing love. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, this is it? This broken mess is all I get? That moment, that exact moment of despair, is where transformation begins. It's the crossroads where we either surrender to our circumstances or rise above them. We live in a world obsessed with origin stories. We love hearing how billionaires started in garages or how celebrities overcame obscurity. But what about the origin stories that begin in darkness? What about the journeys that start with abandonment, addiction, or abuse? Those stories matter too. Perhaps they matter most of all. When Carrie shared about being born addicted to heroin, I couldn't help but think about how some of us enter this world already carrying burdens we never chose. Some of us begin our stories with chapters we didn't write. But here's the beautiful truth Carrie taught me: the first chapter doesn't have to determine the entire book. Your past does not define your future. Carrie told me with such conviction that I felt it reverberate through my bones. Resilience and faith can break cycles that have existed for generations. This isn't just inspirational talk, this is lived experience. Carrie went from being homeless and dealing drugs to earning not just a bachelor's degree, but a master's degree as well. Every setback, and there were many, became a setup for growth when viewed through a spiritual perspective. Let that sink in for a moment. Every setback became a setup. How many of us are still defining ourselves by our worst moments? How many of us have accepted the narrative that where we started is where we'll end up? I'm reminded of something Carrie said during our conversation. When you've been through the fire, you either burn up or you come out refined. The choice isn't always easy, but it is always ours. Now, I want to share another powerful story that parallels Carrie's journey in meaningful ways. Carrie Ransom grew up working in his family's hardware store in Indiana before becoming an investor dedicated to building startups in Orange County. While his challenges were different, his story demonstrates how foundational values like love, community, and resilience can drive both personal transformation and broader impact. Ransom faced the challenge of transitioning from small town business roots to leading high growth ventures. He had to adapt lessons learned at home to larger stages. What did he do? He applied values of community support learned early on and focused on collaboration and mentorship within his ventures. The outcome? He became the founder and president of Operate Studio and is now recognized as one of Orange County's top startup investors. The early lessons about business ethics and people skills shaped his leadership style, allowing him to lead multiple companies from inception to exit while investing back into the local community. What strikes me about both Carey's and Ransom's stories is how they demonstrate that our foundational values, particularly love, scale up with success. They don't become less relevant as we grow, they become more essential. The principles that save us in our darkest moments are the same principles that elevate us to our highest potential. But let's be honest, embracing love as a transformative force isn't always easy, especially when you've been hurt, especially when you've been abandoned, especially when you've been told, explicitly or implicitly, that you're not worthy of love. Carey spoke about this with such raw honesty. When you've spent your life being rejected, accepting love feels like a foreign language. You have to learn it word by word, phrase by phrase. For many high achieving women listening right now, this resonates deeply. We've spent years in survival mode, leading teams, raising families, holding down households, carrying communities. We've worn the cape for so long that we've forgotten what it feels like to just be, to be soft, to be vulnerable, to be loved without having to earn it. This is what the soft girl era is truly about. Not a trend, but a spiritual, emotional, and mental recalibration. It's about dropping the superwoman cape and understanding that softness is not weakness. It's a radical act of self love. Carey embodies this journey perfectly, known as CareBear because of having been through so much, yet understanding struggle deeply without judgment. Carey shows us what it means to extend grace, first to ourselves, then to others. Healing is possible, Carey emphasized, when you accept yourself without judgment and extend that same grace to others. This is revolutionary, especially for those of us who have been our own harshest critics. We've internalized the judgment of others until it became our own voice. Breaking that cycle requires conscious effort and often divine intervention. Carey spoke powerfully about how embracing God's love became the turning point. When you truly understand that you are loved, not despite your brokenness, but with your brokenness, everything changes. You stop trying to earn what's already freely given. For many of us, this is the hardest lesson to learn. We've been conditioned to believe that love is transactional, that we must be good enough, successful enough, strong enough to deserve it. But what if love isn't something we earn, but something we simply receive? What if our worth isn't tied to our productivity or perfection, but is inherent in our very existence? This is where faith enters the picture for many, including Carey, not as a set of rigid rules, but as a foundation for understanding our inherent value. When we view ourselves through the eyes of divine love, we begin to see our scars not as shameful marks, but as evidence of our resilience. Every scar tells a story of survival, Carey said, and every story of survival can become a testimony that helps someone else find their way. This is purpose beyond pain, taking what broke us and using it to create pathways for others. It's about turning survival into something sacred and supportive for those still finding their way. I'm struck by how both Carey's personal journey and Ransom's professional path demonstrate this principle. They both took early experiences, some painful, some formative, and transformed them into foundations for helping others. They both understood that resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward with greater wisdom and compassion. But here's where I want to challenge us all. Knowing these principles intellectually isn't enough. We must put them into practice. Knowledge without application is merely information. Transformation requires action. So I ask you the same question Carey posed to me. What's one small step you can take today towards self compassion instead of self condemnation? Maybe it's looking in the mirror and speaking kindness to yourself for the first time in years. Maybe it's forgiving yourself for a mistake you've been carrying too long. Maybe it's reaching out for help instead of trying to be strong all by yourself. Whatever it is, take that step. Because transformation doesn't happen in giant leaps, it happens in faithful steps taken day after day. As we come to the close of our time together, I want to leave you with this thought. Your capacity to receive love is directly connected to your ability to create change in the world. You cannot pour out what you haven't first allowed in. For those who have spent their lives giving to families, communities, work, this is revolutionary. We've been taught that strength means endless giving, but true strength begins with receiving. The most powerful thing we can do is to open ourselves to love, divine love, self love, community love, and let it transform us from the inside out. This isn't just about feeling better, this is about fundamentally changing how we show up in the world. When we heal, we help others heal. When we embrace our worth, we help others see their worth. When we receive love, we become vessels of love. I challenge you today, especially if you feel unseen or unworthy, to disrupt the narrative that says you must earn love. Break the cycle that equates your value with your output. Reject the lie that your past defines your future. Instead, open yourself to the radical possibility that you are already worthy of love, that your scars make you more beautiful, not less, that your struggles have prepared you not just to survive, but to thrive and help others do the same. Your journey from broken to beloved starts with a single choice, the choice to believe that transformation is possible, not just for others, but for you, right here, right now. Will you make that choice today? Thank you